Yeah, it's just the pickle. It's the Eddie and Webby show, but it's just the pickle. It's just the pickle. The Eddie and Webby show, but it's just the pickle.
Oh, hey, how's it going? This is Webby, not Eddie.
And I'm Eddie, and this is our 95th podcast.
Oh, yeah, episode number 95.
That's right. And as you've noticed for the last 3 podcasts, we're re-releasing content calling it Just the Pickle, where we give you just the pickleball and nothing but the pickleball from previous podcasts that we've had in the past with some pretty great guests. Webby, what do you think about this so far?
I like it. We've had a lot of amazing guests in the past and a lot of people that are new to the sport. Never got a chance to see that originally, and it's kind of deep in our library, so it's kind of hard unless you're like a really diehard fan to find those old episodes. So I think it's good to bring them back to the surface.
That's right. And tonight we're going to switch it up a little bit, Webby, and I'm going to start going over who our guest was a little bit, and I want you to try and guess. At any point, just blurt out their name when you think you know it. How does that sound?
All right. I suck at guessing games, but let's give it a try.
Okay. Well, the date was May 23rd, 2019. I believe this was the first guest who ever logged in from their hotel room. I don't know. I think it was. They were in Camden, South Carolina, there to teach a pickleball camp. And this was before they had a mullet. This was before they were married to a girl named Meg. And this was before they had a podcast of their own. Do you know who that is?
I do. I was pretty sure I had it when you mentioned hotel, because as far as I remember, there was only one person that connected from a hotel because we said it was a bad idea. But you gave it away with the mullet and the Meg references, but that would be the one and only Tyson McGuffin.
That's right. This is from episode number 40 with Tyson McGuffin. As I mentioned, from May 23rd, 2019. Feels like forever ago. He looks totally different back then, but we had some great content. I will give you a fair warning. There was some internet connection issues on his side, which led to some times where we might have dropped connection, but I'm telling you, there's lots of great content out there. So again, this is Just the Pickle from episode number 40 with Tyson McGuffin.
So yeah, I am super excited about today's guest. He is a very accomplished pro pickleball player. He has won numerous Grand Slam gold medals in men's open singles. He's a 4-time national champion and recently had pretty great success at the 2019 U.S. Open Pickleball Championships. And according to the World Pickleball Federation, he's the #1 ranked singles player in all of pickleball. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a huge honor to introduce to the Eddie and Webby podcast, Tyson McGuffin. Tyson, thank you very much for joining us. How's it going, man?
Thanks for having me on the 40th episode here. Super stoked to be hanging out with you guys. And I'm actually hanging out in Camden, South Carolina right now in this little tiny town teaching a camp. But yeah, man, all is well. Thanks for having me.
Nice. Yeah, thanks for being here. I love the shades. That's a very nice touch there.
Representing.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, this is very exciting. It's going to be a great time. We have a lot of great topics to discuss. So I say we get right into it. Now, I do hate to burst anybody's bubble that's watching. When Tyson agreed to be on the show, he said he would only do it if we don't talk about pickleball at all. So there'll be no pickleball talk on today's show. However, one interesting thing I learned about Tyson is he's got a background in wrestling. So I figured we could devote the show pretty much all to wrestling. What do you guys think about that?
I think that's brilliant.
So my first question for you is, are you more of a Hulk Hogan guy or a Macho Man Randy Savage kind of guy?
I would say Randy Savage. He's probably more of a bad man type of guy.
Ooh, yeah, dig it. I like it. I like that answer. But anyways, for anybody that doesn't watch the show regularly, I was totally kidding. That was we are going to talk about pickleball. We're probably going to talk about pickleball 90% of the time, as a matter of fact. So no need to worry. You can keep tuning in if you're here for the pickleball talk. One thing we do pride ourselves on here at the Eddie and Webby show, though, is we like to ask the hard-hitting questions that other shows might be afraid to ask. So I want to start off with a barn burner here, something I'm sure you've never been asked before. How did you first get involved in pickleball?
Yeah, so I probably about 4 years ago, I was teaching tennis at a club in Yakima, Washington. There's a gentleman by the name of Bill Chott who I used to give tennis lessons to. And kind of like a common theme in racket sports. Ended up blowing out his shoulder. I see this a lot when I teach nationwide, whether it's badminton players, racquetball players, or ping pong players that kind of tend, and they still have that fire to, kind of be involved in some sort of racket sport. So he kept bugging the heck out of me about playing pickleball, and he was in like a local YMCA. And about 3 months in, he finally got me out there. I remember showing up to that YMCA, and everybody was about 75 plus, and there was about 1 million out there. We're using this little, sponge or jugs ball, and wasn't intrigued. And I would say I really didn't get over the hump until I played my first tournament. That was at the Cougar Classic in 2016 in Portland, Oregon. I remember playing Curtis Campbell in the finals tournament. I was kind of in love with the family-oriented feel. It was kind of a fresh breath of air from tennis. And obviously I found some success right away, and kind of met some cool guys. Got introduced to Chris Miller. Chris Miller introduced me to Matt Goebel. Matt Goebel and I have had some success in doubles over the last couple of years. So things all just kind of fell into place.
Nice, very nice. So do you still play tennis from time to time, or are you pretty much all pickleball these days?
You know what? I take a look at that tennis court now, and I'm thinking, my God, that thing's huge. And so no, I would say, I'm a 5'5" tennis player. I tried to go pro. I didn't really have enough money, nor was I 6'5" and could pop a serve 140 miles an hour. I was just kind of known on the tennis court as, this kid from Washington that had some wheels, that could fight and that could hit a forehand. So I resigned at my job in Spokane as a director of tennis last week in July of 2018 was the last time that I taught a tennis lesson. And I'm very pleased about that.
Yeah, it's crazy. I hear that so much. There's so many people I know that used to play tennis, and it's like as soon as they got into pickleball, it's just like, see you later, tennis. I feel like some people will still go back to it, but I feel like a majority of them just, once they get that pickleball bug, it's pickleball for life.
When I teach nationwide, it seems like these tennis players that come into pickleball really get humbled, and I remember like working at like a high-end country club in Central Washington, in Yakima. And it's funny, there's so many others that told me high pride, tennis player. And now I'm actually seeing those players in tournaments and playing pickleball. And it's funny, like pickleball and like the status of, just it being so down to earth and still kind of having that backyard drinking sport feel. It totally just kind of humbles these country club tennis players. I think it's pretty cool.
Now, one thing for me, I play with a lot of beginners in the area that I'm at. I feel like there's not a ton of experienced players. So I've set up some open pickleball times, or I've like organized groups to come out and get like beginners out there to try it and stuff. And I got to tell you, nothing is more refreshing to me when somebody that's trying pickleball for the first time tells me that they have a tennis background, because I feel like they pick it up immediately. Like if somebody's got a tennis background, it's nothing for them to get into pickleball. So I love hearing that somebody has a tennis background if they're new to the sport and I'm teaching them.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a little bit of a random question here. Let's see. This is from Terry Niemoff. And Terry wants to know when the last time you had a zit. I don't know if this is an inside joke or not, but I thought I'd at least bring it up right now at the beginning of the show.
Terry Niemoff is kind of a second dad to me, and I have no idea why he's asking me that. It's kind of an uncomfortable question, but the last time that I had you know what? I actually have one, that a-hole on my forehead right now, and it's probably because I've been in this swampy heat in South Carolina. It's been so stinking hot here, man. I mean, it's been 92 degrees with 85% humidity each day.
Thank you for the question, Terry. I have one more other question here. I guess while we're talking about your appearance, right? Anybody that's seen you play or seen some of your pictures knows that you have quite the tattoo collection going on. So our buddy John Davidson wants to know, are you planning on keeping the one sleeve, or are you looking to go to double sleeves?
You know what? That's a great question. I've been kind of looking into a second tattoo. I think with my teaching profession and obviously playing profession, I don't think it would be ideal to add two, and honestly, I think if you add 2, then you kind of have to test piece to kind of connect the 2. I've been thinking about this for the last year. And so John, no, I'm probably not going to add a second sleeve, but there is something brewing in the future. And I'm not going to tell you where, but it's maybe somewhere around the neck, chest region, and something to do with kind of the person that I've been with and the person that's really opened up my eyes and all that good stuff. So yeah, it kind of gives you a little insight.
Nice. Thanks for the question, John. So a little bit ago, you were talking about how hot it is where you're at. One thing I always like to find out from people is what they do to try and beat the heat while playing pickleball in a tournament when it's an outdoor tournament, super hot outside. Like, what's your go-to way to like cool off when dealing with that?
Yeah, well, I'm actually sponsored by a company called ASEA. So I drink a lot of cell replacement water. It basically reactivates dead cells in my body, helps with recovery, helps with pushing out inflammation, helps with pushing out lactic acid, helps bring in electrolytes and magnesium, potassium, all that good stuff. If anybody's ever seen me play, I tend to sweat like a machine. And why that is because my cells are very activated and I actually sweat a lot more, but I'm cooling off much quicker, if that makes any sense. But so I use their whole line of products. I use the multivitamins. I use the cell replacement tablets. I'm also sponsored by a company called Salt Stick. I use the salt caps to help with cramping and stuff like that. I also use their electrolyte pills. But yeah, I mean, I'm plenty hydrated going into tournaments, summertime or, obviously mid-spring if I'm coming out east and it's humid as hell. I'm always looking to hydrate like a week early. And throughout the day, just making sure that, I have electrolytes in my water or I'm taking my electrolyte pills. I also use Liquid IV. I think a lot of people use that stuff. You can buy it at Costco, Walmart. I think it has salt and magnesium and potassium in there. But yeah, if you're wondering why I sweat so much, I got about 30 ounces of ASEA a day. So my pores and cells are activated, and so I tend to just shed sweat like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even take stuff that helps me sweat more, and I sweat like crazy. Eddie can attest to that. It's insane how much I sweat. It's weird. Pretty sad. Yeah, like it doesn't take much either. Like sometimes just walking to the pickleball court is what all it takes to set me off. I don't know what the deal is, but yeah. So I definitely need a lot of electrolytes throughout the day when I'm playing outdoors in the heat. So it's good to know all the stuff that you're using.
Well, drinking IPAs, it could be hops and the IPA beer leaking.
Oh wait, so it's not good to drink a bunch of beer before a tournament?
Yeah, right. Anyway, I'm playing I try to discipline myself and not drink too many IPAs. Obviously the day before singles, I make sure that I'm sober as could be. But when I'm on my off time and I'm back home or I'm on the road and a tournament's not coming up, then I tend to probably have a couple IPAs a night.
So you were talking about being sponsored by one of those companies for the stuff that you were using for that. As a lot of people know, you're also sponsored by Selkirk. How long has that partnership been going on?
Yeah, so when I first started playing in, I would say late of 2015, after I played that Cougar Classic tournament in the end of January of 2016, I played Curtis Campbell in the finals. I would say directly after that, a couple email companies and, me being from Washington State. Obviously now I live in Selkirk Sport is actually based out of Coeur d'Alene, so now they're in my neck of the woods to be sponsored by a local company too. I like the family. I love the bars, the family. I thought they were super down to earth and super real. Also too, I love their paddles. You would just say they've been taking care of me since day one. I love the new Selkirk Invicta, my signature model. Obviously, I've been using that for the last year. So yeah, since 2016. If you guys don't know, Rob and Mike Barnes, super great guys. They're in their late 20s. Kind of cool. They've been, it's a family-owned business, and basically they're the owners, and super smart guys, and I can't say enough about them. So they've been great to me.
So you mentioned you have a signature paddle. I think we have actually have a picture handy of that signature paddle. There it is. There's the paddle.
Beautiful. If you guys do not have the newest, Soaker can go buy one now. Damn it.
That is a very nice paddle. A buddy of mine has one, and he let me use it for a few games. And I got to tell you that is an excellent paddle. It feels great. And I think we have another picture. Look at that. There's Tyson actually using the paddle. This is the top-notch production quality you can expect from the Eddie and Webby show. We talk about stuff and we show pictures of it.
Love it. You guys are on point, man. I'll tell you what.
How much involvement did you have in the creation of that paddle? Like, were you involved heavily in the design of it and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think Rob and Mike Barnes from Soaker can vouch on this. It was actually I was very about the paddle. There was about 3 or 4 prototypes that were made before the actual model. So I mean, I used to use the Selkirk Maxima, the Morgan Evans signature model, and I love that model. I used it from 2016 to I guess probably April of 2018, and yeah, I was just looking for something that was like a little wider. I kind of felt like it was blocking and a bit too narrow for me, so I was looking for kind of like a squared off version that was a little shorter, that had some more width, just a bit more and not being so narrow. So yeah, honestly, I think it's one of the best paddles out there. It kind of suits every racket sport background. It's got the extended handle, so it's built for the two-handed backhand, and it's got best of both. It's got the width and it's got some length as well, so you can use your leverage when you're at the net and get a little whip on the serve and whip on the groundies. So
nice, man. That's awesome. So while we're on the topic of sponsorships and stuff like that, didn't I just see that you just recently partnered up with a company called Turnigrip? I think it was Turnigrip. Is that right?
Yeah, Turnigrip, the grip slip. Heck yeah, man. So kind of cool. I've been using it since I was like 12 years old playing tennis. If you take a look at the Turnigrip packaging, Pete Sampras and Andre Agassi were the face of Turnigrip. And I believe now there's a couple more people. David Ferrer, Richard Basquet uses Turnigrip. So anyhow, I'm going to be the face of Turnigrip for pickleball. Now they're making specific pickleball grips. Obviously they're a little skinnier, and they basically just chop the grip in half. So come the end of June, you will see my face on that packaging, and you can buy Turnigrip at Dick's Sporting Goods, Walmart, Tennis Warehouse, Tennis Express, all that good stuff. So pretty cool. So yeah, I would say that was definitely a big signing for me.
Very nice. I've never messed with the grip on my paddles at all. Like what, this might sound like a stupid question, but like what, did we lose Tyson there? I just see the screen went blank. You still there, Tyson?
You see me?
Okay, I see you.
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right. Got worried there for a second.
There we go.
But anyways, but yeah, what I was gonna say, I've never messed with the grip at all on my paddle. Like what's the advantage to using a grip? This might sound ignorant on my part, but I've never messed with it. So like why mess with the grip? What do you do? Why?
Yes. I don't think it's very attractive with the look of it. It's one of the few grips out there where when it gets sweaty, it gets a little tackier. So kind of has that distinct feel when your hand gets a little moist. Yeah, it kind of has that simple blue look. It's got the red tape on top. I think if you're one of those players that has a hard time kind of hanging on to the grip, maybe you're in humid climates, or maybe you're just a sweater and you have a hard time, keeping the handle stable in your hand, then overgrip is probably necessary for you.
Okay. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Don't know why I didn't even think about that. Now I feel like an idiot for even asking that question. But anyways, It's one thing earlier in the show we were talking about how you have a wrestling background. I actually do want to learn a bit about that. Like what can you tell us about your wrestling background you had when you were younger?
Yeah, so I started wrestling when I was 5. I grew up in a family of brothers and one sister. I'm the baby, and my dad was a wrestling coach for 30 years. My oldest brother wrestled for University of Oregon and then Boise State. Yeah, grew up just in kind of like a rough and tough wrestling family. Funny story. We grew up in Lance in Central. It's a little town of like 5,000 people, and my dad used on all these little trips all across the country, and he'd stuff all the kids in a van. I even made my sister wrestle. And his deal was that every 200 miles, he would make us get out on the freeway and run a mile. So I remember being like, 10, 11 years old, running on the freeway, and my dad would style marker. And once we gave it free. So yeah, just, in just a big wrestling family. I would say is a fairly, they pride themselves on wrestling. And, I think my dad kind of wanted me to follow my oldest brother's footsteps in wrestling in college. I actually had a scholarship my senior year to college, and I brought and told him that I was going to play tennis. And so, yeah, wrestling really was me. And, once I got to about teen, I really dove into tennis and loved the idea of, not having to cut weight, not having to suffer in the wrestling, not having to smell like a wrestler. Wrestlers have their knee pads, they have their headgear, they have their singlets and all of that. So being able to again have to worry about cutting weight and stuff like that. So
right. Nice. So being in a wrestling family, were you guys fans of pro wrestling at all, like the WWF, or was that not your cup of tea?
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. At like the age of 10, for like 2 years, I loved WWF, and for some reason, I thought it was so real. And I remember like staying up late at night. Like my mom would put me to bed, and I would kind of sneak out and like turn the TV on and watch it. And thinking about it now, I mean, it's silly. I'm actually a big UFC guy now. It's a little bloody, it's a little gory, but I think those UFC guys for lives on the line and being able to go out there and just brawl in that ring is pretty cool. I'm a big fan of Conor McGregor. He's got a big foul mouth and he's kind of a cocky guy. I think it's like one of the few sports where like you're kind of, just have a lot of confidence and kind of have a chip on. And I mean, you're basically out there and just brawling, right? So
right.
I got a lot of respect for those guys. There's a lot of NCAA wrestlers that wrestled at like high D1 school, NCAA champions, or even wrestled like in the Olympics that are now UFC fighters. And I think you guys ever watch UFC, like if you take a look at interviews, I mean, there's so much stuff like beforehand, before their fights. So you have all this kind of build up and all this lead up, before they enter the ring. So it's pretty cool.
Very nice. And you're talking about confidence, the confidence that the people and the cockiness that the people in the UFC have in mixed martial arts and stuff like that. That it's kind of related to my next question, and that mainly dealing with confidence going into a tournament. Like, do you ever deal with pre-tournament jitters, or did you ever used to deal with them? And if you did, like, what's the best advice you have to kind of get over that?
Yeah, for sure. So I remember the first time that I wrestled, and I was like 6 years old. I remember lacing up my shoes, putting my headgear on, getting my little singlet, on, and getting all fired up. And I remember like using the restroom like 10 times. I was so nervous, had all these butterflies in my stomach, and honestly, till this, I probably feel the exact same amount of pressure. Yeah, I probably don't use the restroom 10 times. But I don't think that stuff goes away. I think you just kind of learn how to manage I think, practice beforehand, getting comfortable beforehand, kind of running matches through your head, confidence that way. Obviously I've had success in majors. That plays a big part, being able to kind of look back in this big, do this. I think you're able to perform well in those big stages. That stays with
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think like I'm with you as far as like I've been getting a little better at dealing with the tournaments and the pressure, but yeah, it's still definitely hasn't gone away. Even doing these podcasts, ever since we started doing them live, those jitters right before we go live, they're definitely still there. Once we go live, it's all good, but that moment, like the 5-10 minutes beforehand, like the hands are a little shaky, hoping everything goes right.
It's like a first round match, right? That first round match, you just need to get all the out of the way and go and kind of set the tone early. And it kind of, if you can play well early, then, kind of throughout the whole day. I can't stress enough, like having a good warm up into the courts early enough, and get yourself comfortable, get used to the conditions, stuff like that. And then I think just getting that first round match out of the way. Sometimes it's not always pretty, I've had a lot of first round matches where it's ugly, but you just kind of find a way and dig your way. But I would say that it's built huge if you can just get that first one out of the way.
Yeah, definitely. So Eddie, what's it looking like on the social media there?
Man, there's so much activity going on that I'm trying to just find the best ones to be able to talk about here. But Matt Nielsen's on here, a good friend of the show here, and he wanted to tell you that he's your number one fan, and that he said that Nike shirt is the dopest shirt in pickleball, and I think he was referring to the one was that you were wearing here.
Heck yeah, Matt is a stud. If anybody's ever seen Matt, I would say that maybe better looking than me. But no, Matt's a super nice guy, man. I got to spend some time with Matt when I was in Orlando teaching a camp. You see the guy with his shirt off and the guy on, but I haven't gotten to play for my U.S. Open.
I think you're breaking up there a little bit. Can you say that last part again there?
Can you? Yeah. So I would say that I give Matt all the credit for my U.S. Open win.
All right. Nice. Yeah, I got to play one time with Matt, and he's obviously a far superior player to me. But he was so nice. I kept missing drops, and so he basically was on my team, and rather than getting frustrated and trying to take all the drops to keep us competitive, he let me take every single one because he's like, this is exactly what you need to be working on. And you got to respect people like that. But when he was on the other team, he had his two-handed backhand drive at me, and I'm not kidding you, I almost pissed my pants right there in the court because I had never had a ball hit so hard at me. I actually have it on video that I want to show sometime, but
Matt
guy.
spanks that backhand for sure. Yeah, I mean, I would say everybody needs a Matt in their pickleball community. The guy's super humble and loves to like embrace new players and I mean, just a great guy all around. So
yeah, for sure. Got one more comment here that will probably be a good transition into what I think Webby was going to be talking about next. This is from Mary Bittner, and she says, how do you stay stoked to teach 52-year-old 3.0 non-athletic women in your clinics like me, referring to herself? And she said, you were great in the Punta Gorda Level Up clinic, and I do have your new paddle.
Mary, you are such a sweetheart. I mean, I would say that with the coaching background in my family, with being a wrestling coach, with my oldest brother now being a wrestling coach as well, I would say that it's just kind of ingrained in me. But yeah, I love working with all levels. I think any teaching pros bread and butter is that lowest level. You probably see the most satisfaction. We see the most smiling faces. So I mean, I take pride and take joy in all levels of teaching pickleball. I think what's kind of cool with these level up camps is that it's a 3-day, 15-hour boot camp, and taking a 3-0 in that first hour and being able to see them in that 15th hour. I mean, it's like apples and oranges, you know. I mean, they basically go full circle. So they're able to kind of pick up on a few nuggets and really, you know, do a lot with those nuggets and you know, just get a lot out of the camp. So Mary, it was great working with you, and I'm glad that you bought that Invicta.
Very nice. And yeah, Mary, Eddie was right. Like that was perfect timing for that question, because I actually did want to ask you more about the whole level up pickleball camps that you're involved in. How long have you been involved with that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I you know, last year I was a head tennis pro at a club in Coeur d'Alene, you know, working 50, 60 hours a week, not being able to play a whole lot, and teaching a lot of tennis, teaching some pickleball. And then I would say in April of 2018, I took a job in Spokane as the director of tennis. And I was thinking, you know, more admin. I could be in the office more. I could try to run programming. I wouldn't have to grind and teach 50, 60 hours a week. And did that up until beginning of August. And I got a call from Wayne Dollard, who owns the Pickleball magazine and who also owns the Level Up Pickleball camps. And yeah, he gave me a call and basically said, hey, can you do 40 camps for me for 2019? And I said, well, you know, if it worked out for my schedule. And just at that time, I was kind of in a position where I was trying to build my brand more with pickleball. I was trying to play a bit more. I didn't want to be on the court 50, 60 hours a week. So no, it's been such a blessing. I mean, I know 40 camps for a year sounds like a lot, but it actually averages out to about 9 days of teaching a month. So financially, it fit better with my son. It fit better with my family. You know, it fit better with my training regimen. And you know, I'm able to build my brand with pickleball and be on the road and see so many faces and you know, really just get the most out of pickleball. And I'm not gonna lie, after teaching 10 years of tennis, even though I love my tennis players and I worked with USTA teams and traveled with, traveled to nationals with our teams and did all that, it was great. But I get much more satisfaction out of teaching pickleball. And you think about like the learning curve of tennis, right? I mean, taking a 3-0 to a 3-5 in tennis it may take 8 months, it may take a couple of years, you know, taking a 3-0 to a 3-5 in pickleball. I mean, it could be a matter of a full level up camp, which is 15 hours, or it could take a month or two, you know? So I think any tennis pro out there that transitions to pickleball starts realizing, oh my gosh, this is a much easier formula. And I see a lot more smiling faces. So
nice. Yeah, that is very cool. So I myself, I'm still technically a 3.0. I'm on the high end of 3.0. I'm just almost crossing that 3.5 barrier. I've never had any kind of coaching or training anything, and that's all going to change next week. As a matter of fact, I am going to be spending some time with a fellow Pickle Up or Level Up instructor. You may know him, DJ Howard. I'm not sure if you're familiar with DJ Howard. But yeah, I'm actually going to utilize some one-on-one coaching services of his next week. So I'm super excited about that. I can't wait for that. So hopefully he can help me get the skills I need to get to the 3.5 level and finally defeat Eddie in an Eddie versus Webby championship match, because I so far have not been fortunate enough to defeat him. But I'm telling you, Eddie versus Webby 4, it's going down, and Eddie's going down, as a matter of fact. You heard it here first, folks.
Let's get that live streamed. Put it on center court. Add in a little VIP section. Get some drinking done. And have some fun with it.
I agree.
Hell yeah.
Let's do that for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Got to make that happen.
Yeah, kind of a cool story about DJ Howard. I think I was kind of the guy that kind of got him going with Level Up. I remember actually going to Lansing, Michigan. When was this? I think it was October of 2018. And I went out there for a weekend and trained with him and kind of helped him out to a certain degree and found out that the guy was super knowledgeable and he had been teaching tennis for 20 years and he was USPTA certified and knew his stuff and knew the progressions and just, was super personable and knew how to work with people. So I called Wayne Dollar and I'm like, dude, this is our guy. Let's get him signed on. So he's been a huge help and a huge part of Level Up this last year. So yeah, I can't say enough about DJ, and the guy is very knowledgeable and has a high pickleball IQ.
Very nice. Yeah, I can't wait to meet him next week. Can't wait to get some training. And
hey DJ, you got your hands full here. You got your work cut out for you with Webby.
I've come this close to defeating you every single time we've played, and just with that one training session is the extra shove I need to be able to do it, I think.
Hey, that belt is still right there, buddy. It's still right there. It's gonna stay there.
Barely. It's barely right there.
Is there any bad line calls being made?
No, I feel like we're both pretty honest. I feel like we're actually probably even a little bit more forgiving. Like I'll have to be 100% certain that the ball is out before I call it. So
yeah, actually,
for sure.
I went back recently and watched the Eddie versus Webby 2.5 match that happened in Grand Rapids, and I actually did not call a couple balls out that were clearly out. So you're welcome for that.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah.
I'm a very, very big fan of good karma, and it's funny, like teaching tennis and teaching pickleball and being in camps and stuff. I always tell my students, I will be your coach, but I will not be your line judge. And I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of competitive people out there with a lot of pride who may make some bad line calls from time to time, but do know that, if that happens, it usually comes around and takes a little bite out of your butt.
Oh yeah, I do agree with that too. I feel like every game I'm in, when somebody makes a blatantly bad line call, once we give in and go with what they called, I feel like usually within the next play or two, something like goes wrong for them. So I do feel like karma definitely plays a part when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah.
So is it true? There's rumor going around on the street that you actually have a clothing line coming out. Is there any truth to that rumor?
Yeah, I'm not going to give you guys too much, but I have my new logo. I'll kind of show it on my hat here. Have my new TM logo. Selkirk and I are going to be collabing on a clothing line sometime before nationals. So we'll have a few different outfits for male and female. I think the sport and hopefully my brand is there now where we can make the most of it and try to get something more out of it and kind of sell my look to a certain degree. My sweet fiance Megan, who I'm going to be marrying October 6th in Los Barrelos, Mexico this year, is going to be helping me out with the female clothing and kind of giving me her insights. I'm sure she's watching right now, so I love you, sweetheart, and I can't wait to marry you on October 6th. But anyhow, yeah. So thanks, man. But anyhow, yeah. So lots of cool stuff taking place. I think pickleball is definitely heading in the right direction. We see, I've seen probably a handful of pros now with the logo, and I think a lot of us are really trying to take advantage of pickleball and take advantage of this uprise. I don't think anybody really knows where it's going to go, but I think we all know that it's heading in the right direction. So beware for my clothing line right before nationals. It's going to be a pretty cool look.
Nice. Yeah, I'm a sucker for great branding, and just that little teaser you gave us with the logo with the T and the M there. I like it. That's very nice.
Yeah.
I dig it.
Yeah.
But actually, speaking of your fiance, I kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit too. I'm a follower of the Tyson and Meg social media accounts on Facebook and Instagram. Some awesome pictures on there. I think we actually have a couple of those pictures handy. Yep, there we go. There's a picture right there.
Oh, you guys get out of here. How sweet is that?
But man, there's some awesome pictures out there. That's a great one right up there on the court. So does she play a lot of pickleball also? I know I've seen right there. I've seen her on the medal stand. So obviously she plays a decent amount of pickleball.
That's right. Love it. We actually met. I told myself I would never crap where I slept, and unfortunately, it just kind of worked out that way. We actually met on the pickleball court. I was working with her. She was jumping in my programming when I was working at a club in Coeur d'Alene. And yeah, one thing kind of led to another. But yeah, you know, she lives in Coeur d'Alene. She herself is very successful. She owns a water bottling and water treatment company. I call her the water killer. Yeah, I mean, she's been such a blessing, and you know, I definitely give credit to her for my success and you know, keeping me happy and being able to deal with my babyish ways from time to time, and being able to put my diaper on from time to time.
Nice. No, that's great, man. The pictures on the social media for the Tyson and Meg page are pretty awesome. There's good pictures of you guys working out, stuff like that, and then just like the scenery in some of those pictures is pretty amazing too. It's pretty cool to see what you guys are up to on and off the pickleball court. Oh, looks like we got a training session going on there. There's some fitness.
I think in that photo I had just had 2 IPAs. That's why my stomach kind of looks a little fluffy. But yeah, we are fully trying to dive into you know, branding, social media. We have a nice little kind of team around us to kind of help us be successful in that area. So I am trying to make the most of my brand and, you know, do as much as I can while I'm on top. I think a lot of the pros know that, you know, 5-10 years on the road, when the game changes tremendously, or like the level gets better, that, you know, not all of us are still going to be around. So I'm trying to take the smart route and really build my brand with teaching. Now I have a website. If you guys want to go check out my website, it's called TysonMcGuffin.com. You can take a look at my camp schedule. You can take a look at my tournament schedule. You can take a look at my all my sponsors. Once the clothing stuff comes out, we'll have some of that stuff on there. Yeah, she is gold in my eyes. So it was actually very quick. We were only dating for probably about 6 months, and when you know, you know. And I remember going down to the jewelry store in downtown Coeur d'Alene and got her a nice little chunky diamond, and had a professional photographer kind of hiding out up kind of on this mountain, like back in the woods. And I remember walking up there, and I was just nervous as hell. And anyhow, he got to capture the moment. I put the ring on her finger, and she was crying, I was crying. And then he popped out and he was taking photos. And also too, I had a bottle of champagne, shook that thing up and sprayed it around. And I'm not gonna lie, directly after that, we got some drinking done, if you know what I mean.
Nice, very nice, very cool. So what does Tyson McGuffin like to do when he's not playing pickleball? What do you do for fun?
Yeah, you know what? So I have a son. His name's Ty Randy Russell McGuffin. He's such a little stud. So he's into wrestling right now. He's into gymnastics. He just started this new cool little class called like Ninja Warriors.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, yeah. So I try to spend as much time with him as possible. I actually so his mom lives in Yakima, where I used to teach, and I actually live in Coeur d'Alene. So he starts school in September. So I'll actually have 2 separate homes. I'll have a home in Yakima and then a home in Coeur d'Alene, and then I'll be on the road as well. I'll spend 10 days in a row with him each month in Yakima, and then I'll be on the road the rest of the time and then be in Coeur d'Alene. So kind of a crazy schedule, but you know, I mean, I'm only a father once, and I didn't want to miss out on his childhood and stuff like that and his upbringing. So it just made more sense that I, with my flexible schedule with Level Up, that, you know, I make it work, and I get a second home there, so I can spend more time with him. But yeah, so I would say just try to spend as much time with him as possible. You know, I like going to music festivals. I think you guys know, obviously, like going to breweries. You know, anytime I travel and do some stuff with the family, we're all about good food and hiking and you know, being fit and being outdoors and all that good stuff. So yeah, that's probably me to a T.
Very nice. And Jack the Cat actually just made his appearance here.
Hey, Jack.
Can't have our milestone 40th episode without Jack the Cat making an appearance. Hey, buddy. So Eddie, what's going on social media there?
You know, you brought up your son, Ty, and then Terry actually asked, he wants us to ask you about the funniest thing that your son has ever done.
Funniest thing that my son has ever done. I think every dad has probably, if it's not funny, it's kind of more disgusting, but it was funny at the time. I think any dad has kind of gone through this. He was in the bathtub and he was 2 years old, and he ended up going number two in the bathtub. And so, daddy had to get his hands dirty and get in there and pull his butt out and clean up all that stuff. But no, he's it's kind of funny, like you have kids and it's just so cool to see some of the traits in your son or in your daughter that you didn't have at that age or that you don't have in general. So I know it's just so cool to see all the good in him and some of the main characteristic traits that he has that I never had when I was a kid. So yeah, I mean, he's all into wrestling. He loves beating up on dad. He loves kicking me in the what from time to time. So it's kind of funny. I mean, really, anytime he's hurting dad, it kind of lights his fire.
Nice. That's what boys are supposed to do, right? They're supposed to beat up on dad.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So what, has your son shown any interest in pickleball yet? Actually, how old is your son?
Yeah, he's 5.
Okay.
You know what? He takes a tennis lesson a week. Anytime he's with me, I make sure that he doesn't have that tennis racket in his hand, that he's actually playing pickleball.
Nice.
Yeah, it's kind of cute. He's all about it's funny. At first he was only hitting home runs, and then the second progression was he could only really hit his forehand. And now we're kind of into this area in his playing level where he's actually able to move a little bit and kind of dink on both sides. We can probably get like a 10 to 15 ball rally going, and then he's looking to hit a winner past dad.
Very nice. So when he gets a little older, are you going to try to make him become your or not make him, but see if he wants to become your men's doubles partner down the road?
You know what? If we could win if we could win a national title together or like a U.S. Open title together, that would be a dream come true. But I'm gonna kind of let him go and let him kind of find what he loves. So he's got a lot of passions right now, and he loves all sports. So I think it's great for any kid at that age to kind of get a blend and get a taste of soccer, basketball, everything. So I do know that the wrestling is great for all kids. Kind of add some character, build some discipline. Makes the kids be a little tougher. So that's definitely necessary. But yeah, he's such a cutie, man.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely agree about that with trying to get them involved in as much sports, let them see what they want, and like you said, learn some discipline, stuff like that. Now, my oldest daughter, she's 14. She wants absolutely nothing to do with pickleball. I mean, she'll play every once in a while, but it's usually I usually have to drag her onto the pickleball court to try to get her to play. But my younger daughter, my 11-year-old daughter, she's all about it now, and that's awesome. And actually, on Monday, on Memorial Day, if the weather cooperates, there is a big group of pickleballers that are doing a picnic, and they're going to put on a little mini tournament. And I'm actually going to try to play in that tournament with my 11-year-old daughter. So I'm hoping the weather cooperates so we can do that. That's going to be like a dream come true right there. Be able to play in a tournament with my daughter. I mean, she hasn't been playing long, so I mean, she definitely doesn't have. The skill level isn't that high. You said you and your son sometimes get like a 10 and 15 dink rally going. I don't think we've ever gotten that far together when I've had her on the other side of the net, but she's getting there. Right. She's getting better at the eye-hand coordination, and she's got the heart. So just the fact that we're going to possibly play in a tournament together is awesome. I can't wait. That's going to be very cool.
Cool.
So another thing that Eddie and I sometimes kind of debate about is the whole indoor versus outdoor pickleball thing. And I got a question for you. Like, what would you prefer? A very nice indoor dedicated tennis court surface pickleball court, or would you rather go to an outdoor court where it's like real hot and muggy and sticky and gross out there? Like, what's your preference, indoor or outdoor?
You know what? I think it takes a select skill set and a select individual. I mean, I always tell people this, like, if you can win in Naples at the US Open with how windy it is and with how different courts play a little different, like I'm sure you guys have noticed, and I'm sure a lot of players have noticed, like the courts that are right next to the stadium are much slicker. And then the newer courts that they built obviously are, are a bit grittier and play a little slower and stuff like that. So I personally, kind of favor the outdoors. I think we could talk about the ball as well. I think a lot of the pros, like using that Dura ball because it takes a select skill set to be able to play with that ball, and we don't see as many upsets. I would say that playing in those tougher conditions as well, we don't see as many upsets. So it kind of goes hand in hand, if you know what I mean. But I would take the hot, humid heat any day over indoors. I kind of stride myself with my wrestling background on being physical and being able to kind of suffer on that heat and kind of break people down with with the conditions and stuff like that. So I think if you ask Kyle and Simone that same question, I think they would say outdoors any day.
Yeah, and I can definitely see that point, and I do enjoy playing outdoors. It's just I live in Michigan, so I only get to play outdoors maybe 2 or 3 months out of the year. So maybe that's part of why I have a outdoor play leaves a bad taste in my mouth, because there's hardly ever good chances to even play outdoors. So I'm sure if I lived down in Florida or something like that, I'm sure it'd have a much. I'm sure I would favor the outdoor play much more.
Yeah.
I've just had my heart broken so many times due to poor weather and not being able to play here.
Yeah.
That
right.
But I mean, definitely outdoor play versus like compared to indoor on a gym court surface any day for sure. But I do love to play indoors on on a dedicated court that's got like the tennis court surface that I love. And I almost prefer, just because you're guaranteed to be able to play. Because for somebody like me, I have such limited time to play that I like the idea of being guaranteed to play. Like if I want to say, hey, I want to play next Wednesday evening, and then if I try to play outdoors and the weather prevents me from doing that, if I'm playing indoors, it's guaranteed. So I don't know. It's just that's my take on it. But
yeah, I mean, I would compare indoors and outdoors to like the Franklin ball and the Dura, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
Right. So like the Franklin ball is a little easier to play with, a little softer. Doesn't take as high of a skill set to be able to play with that ball. The Dura ball, obviously, when it's cold, it's like a rock, and you really have to kind of modify things and really touch the ball. And then obviously, when it gets hot out, the Dura ball is like mush. There's a lot more variables there. So if that makes sense, I would try to I could compare indoor tennis surface to outdoor tennis surface like the Franklin and Dura ball. If that makes sense.
All right. Yeah, definitely. One thing I've been curious about, you've had so much great success over the past few years. Is there any particular victory that stands out to you as being your favorite so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think if anybody saw me during the win this year at the U.S. Open, it was pretty emotional. I had this big old mean mustache on my face. It was kind of a tribute to my dad. So my dad passed away April 26th of 2013. So the whole week of the U.S. Open, I wore that mustache, and I would say the most emotional and probably the most significant, important win for me was the U.S. Open this year in singles. I had lost to Ben I'd lost to Ben early on in the year in Hawaii. Actually got beat up pretty good. Hopefully you guys never watched that match because it was very ugly. Ben played very well, and it was one of those matches where it was like, get me off this court as quickly as possible. And then I ended up losing to Ben again at the Lakes tournament in Palm Springs. It was like a 2.5 hour just grind fest. I ended up losing to him in the winner's bracket final. And then in the final, I beat him best 2 out of 3. I think I beat him in 3 games. And then the game to 15 went 14-16. So anyhow, I lost to Ben, 2 times in a row. I didn't have a lot of confidence going in, but I had literally just physically worked my butt off in the gym and did as much as I could to put myself in a successful position and just put a lot of confidence in my head. And then the mixture of that, with my dad, it was all pretty cool, and it was all it's kind of like a dream come true, man. So I ended up, I dropped to my knees after I won, and I could freaking barely talk in my interview because I was just a mess. I was crying for like 30 minutes beforehand. So I was pretty cool.
Yeah, and that was so awesome to watch too. And actually, I messaged you shortly after I watched that match because it really hit home for me because I lost my mom a few years ago. So like seeing the emotion that you had and dedicating that to your dad and everything like that was a very powerful moment. Definitely struck a chord for me. Very cool to see. But actually, speaking of your match against Ben at the U.S. Open, Eddie, I think we have a video clip of what I think was probably the best rally of that game. I don't know if you have that handy, but if you do, I'd say go ahead and roll it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what we call Pickle Thug life treatment right there.
gold chain and the Ray-Bans. I love it.
But that was such a fun game to watch, though. I loved seeing that rally right there. That was a great one. But to be honest, that even though that was probably my favorite rally of the match, that to me that wasn't the highlight of the match. And Eddie, I think we have another video clip. I'd like to show this one from the match that I think is even better, if you can believe it. So an awesome point there from Tyson, but that's not what I'm talking about. The best part is actually coming up right about here. And wait a second, what do we got there in the background? We've got our buddy Eddie and Matt Loria, aka Party Girl Chica 420, right there in the background with Tyson. How awesome is that?
Oh yeah, got to be front and center for that match, man. That was incredible to watch. So much fun to watch that match.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
So Eddie, anything else going on social media today?
Well, there was one story I actually wanted to tell you a little bit, and you talked about you had a mustache for the entire week of the U.S. Open. My wife and I were actually going to Friday night Pickleball Global Challenge Cup. We're driving down Bonita Beach Road, and I look over and I was like, man, that looks exactly like Tyson McGuffin with a mustache driving a what did you have, like a white
Dodge Charger, man?
Yeah, the white Dodge Charger. I'm like, that looks just like Tyson in a mustache. And then we both turned right going down 41, and I'm like, oh my God, that is him. I honestly, I couldn't even recognize you with that mustache, but it was pretty funny. I was like, that looks exactly like him.
Yeah, the joke of Global Cup was people were asking if I was Freddie Mercury or Tyson McGuffin.
Oh, nice. I love
Mercury or McGuffin.
Yeah. I could see that. No, it was solid though, man. But honestly, like it did not look like you at all. It was pretty cool to see you represent, and honor your dad that way. That was really awesome to see.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that was very cool. And I feel like people just don't wear mustache only much these days. So I feel like when people do rock the mustache, it kind of stands out a little more than it used to. And I've got to admit, when I first saw you with the mustache, I was like, oh man, what is this Joker doing? But then when I heard you talk about why you were wearing the mustache, I felt like such a horrible person. but that was
no worries, no worries.
Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah,
sorry to hear about
cool.
your mom, and yeah, sorry to hear about your mom, man, and yeah, hope all's well. And yeah, I mean, it's obviously a tough time, and you just kind of push through as a family and team up, and make the most of it. And a couple of things that we've done as a family, we always have these little events where my dad used to love to go to. We meet as a family, and we kind of spend a weekend there. We usually go to this little place called Winthrop. It's like this place north of Lake Chelan where I grew up. It's like this little tiny town of like 1,000 people, and we get the same cabin that we used to always get when he was there, and drink a bunch of IPAs and tell a bunch of stories and talk about all the wrestling stories and all the crazy stuff that he made us do when we were kids. So,
Nice.
so yeah, kind of fun.
Yeah, very cool. Definitely. So Eddie mentioned he saw you on the way to the Pickleball Global Challenge event. Do you want to talk about that at all? How was that experience this year?
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. Yeah, Jan Poppy put on a great event. I know all the players enjoyed it. It seemed like there was plenty of people in the stands. So I think he definitely sold tickets and stuff like that. It was all the East players versus the West players. I'm not gonna lie, the West Coast lineup was much more stacked than the East Coast lineup. I personally do not think it was actually that fair. I think everybody who played could vouch for that as well. But yeah, pretty cool. I mean, it was 20-minute games. You played 10 minutes on one side, then you had to switch sides. So there was a lot of tricky matches where it kind of came down to the very end. And you kind of played with the score, and I'm not going to lie, if you were up and there was 4 minutes left, you can kind of stall and take your sweet time. That's not always the most etiquette route to go, but you kind of got to do what you got to do to get the W from time to time. But yeah, I ended up playing, I think, 5 matches, 3 doubles and 2 singles. I won all 5 matches. I got to play with Riley Newman. He's actually a guy from the Northwest. He's my Northwest boy, and we actually played Adam Stone and Kyle Yates, and I think we were down like 3-6 at the 10 minutes. Ended up switching sides and came back and won 9-7.
Nice.
And it was kind of funny. We were using the Franklin ball, and I think 4 minutes in we were at 2-2. So talk about how soft that Franklin ball is and playing indoors. And anyhow, it was just a big dink fest and nobody could put the ball away. And I like the Franklin ball, but I just think it's a huge equalizer and it's very difficult to play aggressive. It's tough to put balls away. I remember, looking at the score after like 4 or 5 minutes and I'm like, my God, it's still 2-2. And, so anyhow, yeah, I got to play, Colin Johns in singles. Colin Johns is like the new upcoming, player. Obviously, he's Ben's brother. Colin played on the ATP tour. I don't know what his ranking was, but the guy was a total stud. So he's just now kind of diving into pickleball. Just got sponsored by Prince. Super nice guy. Then I got to play 2 doubles matches with Riley, and then a mixed match with Irina. And then I think the last match of the evening on Friday was against Adam Stone. But yeah, the West ended up winning. And I think it was a significant win. I don't think it was close by any means. But yeah, it was fun, man. And we got to hold the big cup we got to hold the global cup at the very end and take a bunch of team photos and all that. So no, it was a cool event and I was happy to be a part of it. And yeah, look forward to coming back next year.
Very nice. Yeah, I was in Chicago at the time that this event was going on. So every night before I went to bed, I would pull up the videos from there, and I didn't see all of them, but I watched a lot of them, and it looked like a great time. Looked like a pretty cool event. You were there in person for most of it, weren't you, Eddie?
Yeah, so I was there for all your matches, Tyson, and I got to tell you, man, it was awesome. It was a very different layout, very different setup than any other tournament I've been to. I mean, you saw everybody is right there, pretty much on top of you guys, watching you play. I loved the match you mentioned with you and Riley against Adam and Kyle. But I have to say, I think my favorite match was the very last match. I was honored. Scott Golden brought me up to do commentary with him, so I got to see firsthand. And I'm a huge Adam Stone fan. I think that he's a great player, but he's also just a really cool guy off the court. And to see you guys battle it out, and I mean, although you dominated that match pretty solid, there were a couple times that he got some really good shots on you. And you had such a good kind of sportsmanship type of attitude with him. You threw your paddle at him one time when he got that real nice short cross court dink that you just kind of were like, there's no way I'm going to get that. So I really enjoyed watching that match from a fan's perspective. It was great. What was your perspective on the court for that match?
You know what? Adam and I are like best friends at heart, you know, kind of homies at heart. I've known Adam for like the last, I think, year and a half. So, no, I've got a lot of chemistry with Adam. He actually stayed with me in my hotel in Orlando a few days before Global Cup. So, you know, we both are like sports junkies. We both love the Rockets. We're both James Harden fans. So I know Adam super well, and I know it's always kind of fun getting on the court with Adam and having a little fun. But yeah, Adam is definitely a character, man. It's kind of funny. He's actually he does a little online professional poker, and kind of likes living on the edge. But no, I mean, Adam's, you know, he's a super humble guy, and he lives in Houston, and no, I like Adam a lot. So I've been trying to get Adam to get up to Coeur d'Alene and train with me, but the guy freaking doesn't want to come north.
All right. Yeah, definitely a cool guy. I was hoping to hang out with him at the U.S. Open, but every time we had an event going on, he was out doing other stuff. But yeah, it was really cool to be part of both the Pickleball Challenge Cup and also U.S. Open. Being able to see some of your matches there was pretty amazing as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not gonna lie, from like a confidence standpoint, I mean, that was kind of the idea, was, you know, getting to Naples, you know, a couple of days early, like before the singles. And I'm not gonna lie, I mean, having 5 matches under my belt, you know, and having 5 W's, you know, definitely just put like a whole new like perspective kind of in front of me when I played the U.S. Open that first day in singles. I had a bit more confidence. I had some matches under my belt. I think a lot of players can vouch for that. So, I mean, that was one of the main ideas with playing Global Cup, was that I can get comfortable and I can get there early and kind of find my groove and find my rhythm and you know, get things rolling.
Yeah, that was definitely something I was kind of curious about. Was, you know, the U.S. Open is this big event, right? And then you have the Challenge Cup right before, which is a big event, but on a different scale. And so I was wondering, how many tricks were some of these guys going to be pulling out of the bag, right? Have they been working on something that maybe they're going to keep in their pocket and only pull out during the finals at the U.S. Open? Did that play into your mind at all?
No, I would say for most people, you know, it was just getting down there early, you know, getting comfortable, getting used to conditions. I mean, obviously we're playing indoors with the Franklin ball, so that was kind of tricky, right? Because we actually used the Dura ball at the U.S. Open, and we're obviously playing indoors. But honestly, it was kind of more of like a laid back, fun, camaraderie, lackadaisical type of feel, I would say, to a certain degree. I mean, obviously it was competitive and everybody was trying to win, and we all got compensated for winning. But I don't think too many of us were trying to keep secrets quiet and you know, keep some tools in our back pocket. I know when Riley and I played, Adam and Kyle, we obviously pulled everything out that we had. But no, I think it was just, you know, good fun, and Jan Poppy put on a great event, and Scott Golden did a great job of commentary and all that. So
cool. There's just one more Facebook message that I wanted to wrap this portion up with. This is actually from my U.S. Open men's partner, Matthew Gear. He said, "Tyson, congrats on a U.S. Open singles title. During a singles tournament with a long, full day of matches, what do you like to drink and eat during the day to stay hydrated and keep your energy up?"
Nice. Great question.
Yeah. I would say it's a little tricky, you know, when you're in hot, humid conditions. You know, I think a big breakfast in the morning is necessary. I think most of us just kind of tend to graze all day and eat light. It's tough to kind of stuff yourself midday, unless you've kind of won that winner's bracket final and you have an hour or so to kind of hang out. But yeah, I would say I usually go a big breakfast. I'm a big egg, sausage, fruit guy in the morning. So I usually do a big breakfast to kind of fill me up until about 10 or 11. And then throughout the day, I just kind of graze. I go nuts and fruit. I do some of the Hammer Nutrition gel packs. They're kind of packed with like electrolytes and some added energy. I make sure that I'm loading up on potassium, magnesium, taking my electrolyte tablets. Like I said previously, I use that liquid IV powder. I'm also sponsored by a company called ASEA, so I make sure to take all my tablets and drink my cell replacement water. I also make sure that I stretch in between matches. I have a nice stretching band. I also use my Jolt Therapy tool. I'm sponsored by Jolt Therapy tools. So I make sure to use my massage gun, usually on like my IT bands and my psoas and stuff like that. But I think the main thing is just kind of keep yourself fresh. Make sure you're not too full. Keep the range of motion flexible, and try to keep to that same routine throughout the whole day.
Nice. Great tips there. Great info. One thing I definitely want to ask you about before you go is with your serve. You have such an amazing serve, and I know numerous people that have said that you probably have the best serve in the game. How long did it take you to master that, or just to develop the serve that you currently use?
You know what? I mean, I kind of tell the story of like Andy Roddick. Andy Roddick, back in the day, I think like when he first started playing, he was popping a serve like 125, and he was in practice and he was just kind of flirting with the serve and trying new things. And he had this big kind of like elongated motion where it came down and around. And then, all of a sudden he kept his feet together in like a platform kind of like stationary position, and then started taking his arm all the way up. So, touching on that note, Roddick ended up popping a serve like 140. Just by shortening his motion and kind of keeping it like a bit more abbreviated, and was able to add like an extra 15 miles an hour. So I think with my serve, I was kind of flirting with the idea of opening up my stance and using more legs, trying to get some more coil. But I think I really just kind of had to focus on trusting my paddle head speed and, trusting the spin, trusting the formula of top spin. Also too, I used to serve right behind the line. And now I give myself like 3 or 4 feet behind the line. It kind of seems like the box that I'm serving in opens up a little bit and seems a little bigger, with giving myself some more space, and I kind of feel like I have more freedom to swing. When I teach camps nationwide, there's a lot of people who are afraid to miss their serve long. And if you get enough paddle head speed, and if you touch the ball light enough, like I call it, giving the ball like a little soft tissue massage versus like a deep tissue. If I really hit the whole ball and give it a deep tissue, the ball usually flies out. But if I can caress the back of it and kind of kiss it and get enough spin, that I can keep the ball down. So I think, it's understanding, how to really like massage the ball, to a certain degree, and then, trust your paddle head speed, get the legs involved, use some kinetic chain and all of that. But I'm a huge believer, on the serve with using bigger body parts and adding some more hip rotation. If you guys see Ben serve, Ben has a bigger frame than me, so he really doesn't have to use as much with his body. He gets probably more out of it with the shoulder. So I think, there's such a range of acceptability in pickleball, and such a range of acceptability on the serve, like depending on, body positioning and taller people and things like that, So, and I think that's like one of the beauties in pickleball, right? I mean, there's such a range of acceptability on ways to play. Like we see racquetball players coming in with their own little spice of the game. We see badminton players coming in. We see ping pong players holding the paddle up a little higher. I always think about this, like 10 years down the road, is the game going to be at a level where there's going to be one specific way, because like you take a look at tennis, right? And it's this one way highway type of path as far as teaching and as far as playing, right? It doesn't fall far off the track. Where in pickleball, we see guys switching hands, we see different grips. Yes, there's similar concrete details, but so I've talked to a lot of pros about that. Like, in 10 years down the road, is there going to be one select way? Is there going to be one select grip? So kind of interesting.
Yeah, you definitely have like a distinct serve, that is very noticeable out there, and unique to anybody else that I've seen in the game. That's for sure.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. I have two very, very serious questions that just came in. These are very serious. Another one from John Davidson here, and he wants to know. He wants to know which man has the best legs in pickleball.
I know John's kind of built like a horse with his lower extremities. That actually sounds bad. So John just posted this photo on Facebook. I think it was actually Randy Coleman, and John was wearing some very, very short shorts. And yeah, John has some serious thighs. But you know what? I'm actually going to put myself ahead of him.
All right. Okay.
Thanks for that question, John.
Yeah.
I do like your legs, but I think I like mine better.
I love it. We can always count on John for some riveting questions here that get really deep.
Serious questions. Serious.
Yeah.
Right.
And last question I have here is actually from our buddy Matt Loria. And I really want to know the answer to this one too as well. How many New England style IPAs do you recommend having the night before a match?
You know what? If I'm playing singles, I recommend 0. If I'm playing doubles, I usually go 1. I would say my favorite IPA is from a brewery in Grand Rapids called Perrin, and it's called Soups and Juice.
Oh yeah.
Great stuff.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
Love Soups Juice. I love that one. We actually we drank that and reviewed it on the show when we were in Grand Rapids last year for the Beer City Open. As a matter of fact,
We did.
Yeah,
It's
it is the
delicious.
fruitiest, juiciest. Oh man, so delicious. Yeah, malty.
oh
and
yeah,
all,
so
all the
good.
above, man. Definitely hits the spot.
All right, I do have one more. I know I said that was my last one, but they just keep coming in, and I
No
know
worries,
we've gone
man.
long,
Yeah,
but
no worries.
this is another one from John Davidson,
Oh boy.
and I have to get my composure.
John,
when
what
I-
do you want?
Yeah. He asks, "Do you feel slightly aroused by Morgan Evans' voice during timeouts?"
You know what? I've been with Morgan for the last 2 years, and he's a little perverted, and he does kind of have a foul mouth, and he has that Aussie accent, so he can get away with it. I mean, some of the stuff that man says during his clinics, there's no way that I could ever get away with that. But you know what? No, it's not arousing, but it is comforting, and no, man, Morgan's a stud. He's definitely opened up my eyes to a whole different picture in singles and just pickleball in general. I can't give that guy enough credit. But yeah, he, I obviously play doubles with him, and I'm playing doubles with him all this year. No, he's got a lot of pickleball IQ, and yes, he definitely does have a dirty mouth, but no, it's not arousing.
I totally agree with Tyson too. Like, I feel like anybody with a nice sounding accent can get away with saying anything. It doesn't matter how vulgar or how mean it is. It just somehow manages to sound pleasant and nice.
That's not fair.
Right?
I agree.
Oh man, Tyson, this has been such an awesome night. We cannot thank you enough for joining us. This has been awesome. Is there anything you want to say to everybody as far as how they can follow you and keep track of what you're up to?
Yeah, for sure. I want to say thanks for having me, Eddie and Webby. It's been a pleasure, man. It's been lots of fun. Yeah, listeners out there, go subscribe to my website. You guys can go to TysonMcGuffin.com. That's my branding website. You can take a look at my tournament schedule, my camp schedule. Also, too, you can follow me on Instagram, it's Tyson McGuffin. Also, too, you can find me on my pickleball page on Facebook at Tyson McGuffin Pickleball. If you want to follow Meg and I's traveling cute little couples page, you can follow us at Tyson and Meg on Facebook and Tyson and Meg on Instagram. No, thanks again, gentlemen. It's been fun.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much for being here. This was awesome, and have a great night.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man. We'll see ya.
Man, that was a super fun episode with Tyson McGuffin. It, like you said, there was a lot of great information he gave us, even though the signal cut out a little bit here and there. It was still a great episode, I thought.
Yeah, I remember when we were talking with him, that was my first time kind of interacting with him on kind of a personal level. He's such a personable guy. And that's what I always like about Tyson. I still to this day have a lot of respect for him. I think he's a class act. And one thing I love about Tyson is when you leave him, he makes you feel better about yourself. He's great at remembering names. And I think he's one of the most marketable people in pickleball to this day.
Oh, yeah, totally. And he's one of the top stars in the PPA, definitely from a recognizable standpoint and a fan favorite. And I feel like he never lost his down-to-earth side. There were some controversies this year, but I still feel like whenever you go there as a fan, he loves getting pictures with the fans. He makes sure to make time for the fans when he sees them, especially if they have like a sign or if he can tell they're a big fan, he will go out of his way to make sure that they get a good fan experience. And I really do appreciate that kind of thing.
Absolutely. He's one of the good ones. Guys, that was Just the Pickle, where we give you just the pickleball segments from old podcast episodes. That was Tyson McGuffin. I thought it was great. I hope you do too. If you have a previous guest that you want us to re-release and strip out all the technology, beer, and non-pickleball related stuff, go ahead and throw it down in the comments below. And on that note, I'm Eddie.
And until next time, this is Webby, not Eddie, signing off.
See ya.
Pickleball.